Hello, it is around 2:30 on February 20th, 2020. Wow, 2/20/20. But anyway, welcome to the weather update. We are looking at this storm that is over the southeast now, and you can see quite an intense storm. Now, it's staying to our south. It's being suppressed to our south. We are dealing with the clouds, but wow, what a storm. You could see some snow over here in northern North Carolina, Southern Virginia, into West Virginia. And yeah, they'll be getting some snow out of this, and then some really torrential rain around Atlanta. Let's just go a little closer in here. We can take a closer look at this immense storm here. Look at that! Wow, that's some really heavy rain right there over Atlanta. That whole area, it's got to be pouring. Um, and and the north of that, Knoxville, you start seeing the snow. So this is staying to our south. It's not going to be affecting us, but we are seeing the clouds from it today. If we look at the satellite, we'll go to the satellite now. You'll see that we are dealing with the clouds from the storm that are over our area here. A little bit of bank of high clouds here to our north. You can see more clear skies here. That's what we'll be having tomorrow. Uh, let's go and look at our current conditions here across our area, and you can see it looks like we have some winter storm warnings in effect for parts of eastern North Carolina, and winter weather advisories. Actually, it's eastern North Carolina and southeast Virginia, winter weather advisories elsewhere. And then there's this blue area here too, which is that a blizzard warning? I don't think blue means blizzard. I don't know the colors exactly on this, what they mean. There's no. Oh yeah, legend. Here we go. Go to the legend. So let's see. The blue, that blue shade, heavy freezing spray advisory is what it means. Okay. Uh, I think that's what it means. Let's see. So yeah, this is a winter storm warning over here, and yeah, that is that shade of blue. I think is a heavy freezing spray advisory. Why that's for the land, I don't know. It probably means something else that's not listed here. And I know I should know. Um, I always thought that meant blizzard warning, so I'm gonna have to check with the weather service down there and see. Because the blizzard warning color is not listed here in the legends. So I'm thinking that's what it might be. But yeah, they're going to get quite a winter storm out of this for that right now. And it's still raining, but you can see all the moisture that's associated with it. You can see temperatures are in the upper 30s over there. For our area, temperatures are in the they are in the mid 30s. So it's a lot colder than yesterday. Yesterday we got up near 50. And then the temperature started dropping. So mid 30s everywhere with the northwest wind across our area. If we were to look at some of the current conditions outside, some of our observation sites, we'll pick Farmingdale. The city's 34. We'll pick Farmingdale here and see 36 at Farmingdale. So it's cold, but not frigid, not frigidly cold. Let me move down here and see what those that is. All right, it's not showing up on this. It's just something you can see. Winter storm warning is in effect for wow. So somebody's got a winter storm warning. We haven't had a winter storm warning all winter long, believe it or not. Uh, Something, huh? So let's go look at the models in particular. Let's go and look at the snowfall totals from this particular storm. So we're going to change this region over here to eastern U.S. and we're going to see how much the GFS is putting out as far as snowfall totals for this storm. So let's go ahead and move this into the future here and see what GFS is predicting here for that area. And it looks like, yeah, this needs to go a little closer. Let's see if I can change this. I think if I go maybe southeast US, that would help. There we go. All right, so GFS isn't really producing all that much. It's only giving them an inch and maybe a small area in this area closer to 5 inches. However, if we are, the reason why we're talking about this is because we've hardly had any snowstorms on the East Coast this year. but this one is staying to our south. So let's look at the NAM model and see what the NAM has. Oh yeah, the NAM is producing higher amounts, and I tend to believe these higher amounts from the NAM. So you can see here that we have 5 or 6 inch amounts here in eastern North Carolina. So yeah, they're going to be seeing more snow than we are this entire month in eastern North Carolina, which is pretty insane, the way it looks right now, at least. So with that, now speaking of the rest of this month, let's go and change the models to the GFS, and we will go ahead and look at uh, the North American view and talk about the patterns that we will be having. Yeah, and if we go all the way out here, you will see, look at that, nothing for our area. Just, but let's go and look at the upper air, show you what's going to be happening in the upper air here. Okay, so you can see we have this trough in the east today, but the problem is it's positively tilted. So a positively tilted trough, and you can see how straight these isobars are. There's not much of a kink. So this storm that's forming over the, instead of going up the coast and bringing us a snowstorm, will instead go right out into the ocean and probably right over to Europe again. You can see how straight this is, and this is what you call a fire hose jet when you have this type of situation. You'll put this in red, and it's basically a fire hose jet that just literally just like that. All right. So the storm goes right out to sea. It doesn't hang around. It doesn't bring us a snowstorm, and therefore we stay dry, which is a good thing, but also not a good thing because we're supposed to see snow, and February technically is our snowiest month. So you can see that positively tilted trough moving through. Brings some cold air with it on Friday, but then boom, it's out because there's no blocking. So we start warming up again on the weekend with that ridge, and then we have another trough digging into the west next week. Could be a warm up ahead of that. This trough also positively tilted, but this one hangs around a little more. Maybe there's a little more hope that something might happen in this particular time frame as far as a storm goes, but it's very far out, and the way things have been this whole winter. Again, we don't have blocking in Greenland, so this just moves on out. As you see, moves on out, and then we see maybe another little trough come through here for March. But here's the problem now: as we head into March, we start seeing a big ridge in the west, a big trough in the west, and the ridge in the east. So that's not going to be favorable. And all the really cold air is still locked up in the Arctic due to this pattern that we've been dealing with pretty much all winter long with this very strong polar vortex that's not breaking up at all. It's not moving. It's just stuck in place over the poles, which has been good for sea ice growth, but bad for getting any cold down here. Let's look at the Euro and see if the Euro has any difference of opinion here as far as that. You can see, boom, there's that fire hose jet, positively tilted trough, moves away, and then we're back into the ridge, and then we have another trough coming in. This trough next week, as far as right now, has a little more promise to it, and maybe as far as getting any really cold air, there's no real. Even though we'll get some cold air, the problem is with these troughs. If you notice, there's no connection. There's no really good cross-polar flow to bring the really cold air down from the Arctic, which is locked up at the poles. If we go and we looked at the hemispheric view, you'll see what I mean. This is just a mess, this whole thing. All right, so if you looked at the hemispheric view, you'll see it's just locked up. It's just literally locked up in Canada. So we'll draw this in blue. You'll see it's just locked up. You can see it's just pretty much locked up. There's nothing to bring this down to allow us to have any really Arctic air coming into our area, unfortunately. And this is the problem we've been having all winter long. Well, I'll go over the sea ice growth in this weather update too. I want to see if this goes any higher. Show you the stratosphere. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't on the Euro. But if we go to the GFS, it would show us that too. And let me go here and go back to the GFS. I'll show you that, and then we'll look at our CONUS view at the surface. So if we are to look at the 10, this is the polar vortex right here. So if we were to look at this, you'll see it doesn't split. It kind of just sits there. It just sits there. And it doesn't really move, and it doesn't really, it's just the cold, all the really cold air is just confined to this area right here in the Arctic, and is not coming down at all into the United States, the really, really cold air. So let's go back to CONUS, let's look at the surface, and let's see what is the GFS here. So here's that storm, and you can see the GFS there tracking it, tracking it out to the east, directly to the east. So you see that directly to the east, and that moves away. We have this high build in, bringing us nice dry weather Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're back into a crappy pattern next week with warm air and chances for rain. And then here's that low again, cutting to the west over the lakes. So we're in the warm sector for next week. And then that moves away, and we got this more cold air moving into the picture. At least it'll be cold air, probably not frigid air, but at least we could have some nice weather with that. And then another high noses down for around, now we're into March. You can see this is a high nosing down. It's a little more favorable for snow here. This is when something could happen for us. But again, it pulls away, and then the next storm moves in. We get the warm air and the rain. So we may go through the whole winter with no major snow, which I can never ever remember. This is very, very weird, to say the least. Very weird. So let's go into our regional view here, and I do want to just go and change the regions to the southeast again to show you the NAM's interpretation of this coastal storm. So let me move this over to the NAM. So see here's the, so what happened is the cold air will drop in across eastern North Carolina at night, probably change it over to snow, probably a heavy wet snow, it won't be a powdery snow, because again this isn't really cold air, but it's cold enough to snow in those areas. And then there's that intense flow, which will probably make its way over to Europe and bring them another crazy storm that they're going to be dealing with. So I'll put this back to the GFS, and we'll go ahead and look at our temperatures for the next temperature outlook here. So you can see GFS has us in the mid-30s, and we get a little colder, a little more cold air moves in tonight. I'm not going to say this is Arctic air, this is more like Canadian air. And temperatures will be in the probably mid-30s, maybe a little bit cold, a little more around 33 probably. Warmer over New Jersey, of course, probably more like upper 30s there. But the problem is once we get into Saturday, pulls out. We're already in the mid-40s already with the west-southwest flow. And then look at that. Sunday, we're up near 50. And then look at that. We're 50s probably for at least New Jersey for Monday. And then Tuesday, look at how warm it gets next week. We got mid-50s over New Jersey and possibly 50 over Long Island. And it's warm. We're dealing with 50s Wednesday. And then Thursday, we finally get back to the middle 40s. And then Friday, we see another little bit of cold air coming down with mid-30s. And then for the weekend, also mid-30s. And maybe some 20s on Sunday. So that's our last bit of cold air. And then once that's out, look at next week. Look at the first week of March. 60s over New Jersey probably on Tuesday. 50s over us. And then maybe another little bit of cold air trying to come and battle back into the picture. But overall, it's just not. At least it's a better pattern, at least from the standpoint of we're seeing more clear skies. But other than that, it's not a normal pattern at all. So here we go. I just want to show you the dry air coming into the picture. So you see the dry air there. That's your Canadian air. And then we see dew points rise, but not. Might get humid sometime next week too. But that's next week. That's a ways away. So let's go and look. Let's look at our sky conditions here. So today, obviously, we're dealing with all these clouds. We cleared out tomorrow. We got some nice clear skies over Long Island. Should be a beautiful day. A little cold. Saturday may also be a nice clear day as well. And then Sunday we may have another clear day. So we may have 3 clear days in a row, which is very rare for us. So that's why, even though it's going to not be a winter pattern, at least we're getting nicer weather. And and then next week we're dealing with the warmth and the clouds again. So, and then maybe we get out of it by Friday and Saturday when that cold air moves in, and this is obviously a ways away now. So, we will look at the NAM model as far as sky cover as well. So here is the NAM model. You can see the clouds should be out of here by early tomorrow morning, probably by sunrise. And just a beautiful clear day all around. Saturday, maybe a few high clouds in the afternoon, mainly over Long Island. And just you're going to have some nice days ahead for sure. We'll go ahead and look at the windy model too as well to show you the sky cover as well. This is the Euros cloud cover. So let's look at the Euros cloud cover. Yep, moves it out. We'll clear tomorrow. Clear Saturday. Looks like clear Saturday. Clear Sunday. So we're gonna have a really nice stretch of weather. So enjoy it. It's because we've had a lot of cloudy weather this winter. So definitely enjoy it. I do want to just look at the high resolution satellite just to show you what this pattern looks like from the perspective. You can see these storms just racing across the Atlantic here with this extremely positive NAO that we're talking about. So you can see here these storms just, and there was like a little bit of a Fujiwara thing going on too if we take this back a couple of days with look at these storms here. Look at this one right here. These are the storms that have been hitting Europe. One of them was called Charlie. There's another one. Look at that. So these storms had some pretty intense winds to them and caused a lot of flooding. If you look here, there was some flooding. Dennis, actually, it's not Charlie. It was Dennis. So these storms really, it was the most recent one that caused flooding and just terrible problems, chaos, disruptions to the rail system, and really big problems with that. I want to look at also. I want to look at the teleconnections as well. So I can probably show you the the teleconnections here. So these are the teleconnections, and look at this off the wall in a positive NAO. This is what's crazy about this pattern. This is like record territory for positive NAO, and a positive NAO is basically no blocking. So literally just a straight fire hose jet across the Atlantic from the East Coast to Europe. The bad pattern for snowstorms. Instead of having the jet stream dip in the east and bring storms along the coast, they just go straight out. And the Pacific North America Index also goes more negative, again, which indicates that trough. So not a very favorable pattern. I don't know, like I said, I'm not too keen on the teleconnections. I don't follow them. That's more Joe Chaffee, but you could see just the crazy off the wall. This is like really crazy stuff here that we're seeing here, and it could be due to man-made, I'll just put climate change in there. But I do believe we're causing climate change, and we're going to see more of this craziness as time goes on. I just want to look at the ice, and we're going to wrap up this weather update because there has been actually good news because of this pattern. If there's any good that's come out of it, it's that the sea ice has grown back. So you can see here, this is the sea ice. Let's see. Well, we were above the minimum. We're still low. I know Joe Chaffee was saying that the sea ice has recovered, and it did for a while, but now it's dipped again. So I don't think it's recovered as much as you think. We're still really in a real serious situation here. It has helped the sea ice grow back, but it's much warmer than normal over here, so you can see much thinner ice than normal in this Alaska through Russia, Siberia, because the coldest of air is just confined to within the Arctic Circle. So really just we may see more winters like this. Who knows where we're heading here, but it's not a good situation, and this is why climate change needs to be the number one issue in this election. But anyway, that does wrap up this weather update, and I want to thank you for watching, and I probably won't have another one until we get toward next week. So take care and enjoy the nice weather we're going to be having the next couple of days.